Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inspired Attorney, hosted by me, Sharon V. In this series of Zoomcasts, as I like to call them, I will be interviewing my peers and fellow attorneys about their experiences in the law and gaining insights from their experiences and sharing these with you. In today's episode, we are interviewing Katherine Lyons, who is a patent attorney, and she will be giving us some feedback about how her firm is adjusting to modern times and promoting work-life balance, amongst other things. So let's get into it. Hi, Katie. Thank you for being a part of this episode of The Inspired Attorney.
Thanks so much, Sharon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to have you. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am Katherine Lyons. I'm an attorney here in Florida and Illinois, and I'm also licensed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as a patent attorney. I've been practicing for about 2 years, almost 2 years. I was licensed first in Illinois in July 2018. And then, wow, that sounds like a long time ago. And then I took the Florida bar, so I'm licensed here in Florida now. And so I've been practicing regularly for 2 years as a patent attorney, but I started as a patent engineer back in 2011 with my firm, which is Michael Best and Friedrich. They have a fairly robust patent engineer program where they will help, people coming from undergrad gain a lot of experience in the patent world before going to law school. So I've been in the industry for almost 10 years now, but only an attorney for 2.
What drew you to the industry?
Honestly, I really fell into this. This was kind of an accident. I came across Michael Best. They did like a career fair. I was one of their first hires right after the recession in 2009 because I graduated in 2011. So I just went to one of their career fairs. I ended up really loving it, and it just kind of ended up being a perfect fit for me. But I didn't even really know about it in undergrad. It was kind of an accident.
What made you decide to study to become an attorney and take the bar?
Like I mentioned, Michael Best has a really kind of avant-garde program, or they were one of the first ever programs. So they started with engineering, and then they realized that they wanted to try and retain people. And so they started to put together like basically a program that helps engineers transition to becoming an attorney if that's what they want, or in other ways you can just stay as an engineer and continue through the ranks in that way. But I decided I wanted to kind of shift my focus a little bit. I wanted to be more on like the client strategy side, which you really kind of need to be an attorney for. Be able to like write opinions, stuff like that, that there are certain things engineers just cannot do because they're not licensed as attorneys, obviously. And I wanted a little bit more upward mobility, so I decided to go to law school, and they fostered that, and they made it a possibility. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have gone to law school otherwise. It's a very like focused reason that I went, but I ended up really loving law school. And I shouldn't say I loved law school, that's not really true, but I learned a lot of things in law school I did not know, and I think it's a really helpful program for a lot of people, including myself.
What is one of the things that you enjoy most about being an attorney? What
Uh,
you do?
I like working with the clients. Like I said, I do patent stuff, so I help both small and large clients protect their business and their innovation with patents. And so it's really cool to try and help them carve out space in these different markets. That's my favorite part, working with actual like engineers and helping them gain traction for the stuff that they come up with.
I'm sure every day is somewhat different with the different
Yeah,
types of matters you're looking at.
yeah, the technology areas are different among the different clients, which is nice because even though you can be good at the legal aspects of it, you get a lot of variety in the technical stuff you're looking at day to day. So it definitely adds a little bit of spice, I guess, to the everyday legal stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So what would you say is one of the greatest challenges that you've experienced so far in your career, and how did you respond to that challenge?
So I think practically speaking, the greatest challenge that I ended up facing was when I met Alex. We were living in different states, and my job.
Who's Alex?
Oh, my husband, Alex. That's right. Not everyone knows that. Alex is my husband, and he's also an attorney here in Florida. And when we met, we're both from Denver, but when we met, I was in law school, and my job is really based in the Midwest. I was supposed to be in our Chicago office. And when we were trying to figure out where to live, it really made more sense for him to be here than for me to be in Chicago. So I think the biggest challenge I had to face was, trying to transition my practice from being in an office full time to being remote, and having the gumption to ask my firm if that would work for them. So that was kind of the biggest challenge. And I just ended up asking them for what I thought would be most helpful for our relationship and for my life, which is living here in Florida. And they have been very supportive. And so it's worked out fine.
What were some of the things that you did to make the transition as smooth as it has been?
Well, part of the help for me is that I had worked a lot before I went to law school in gaining relationships and maintaining the relationships with partners and attorneys at the firm before I left for law school. So I already had that base of like network within the firm, which was good. And then the other thing that helped is that I try to go back to Chicago or to one of our offices at least once a month. I try and do it twice a month, but it kind of just depends on the month. And obviously right now I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately. But so I try to go to at least Chicago once a month, and then to get that FaceTime with people. And then I also try to go twice a month if possible, just because it's the more FaceTime, the better. I'm still a young attorney, so the more I can internally network, I think the better.
Do you have any tips for people who are transitioning into working remotely to maximize their productivity?
I think that what's really helped me is establishing like a space that's like a workspace. So we have 2 bedrooms, and I set up a desk and a monitor and like what you would kind of find in an office. And then I have a door so I can close the door, which one of the dogs just opened, which was distracting me. But setting up like a designated workspace that's not, if possible, that's not a shared space, I guess, has been really helpful. And then the other thing is just keeping your routine like what it would be. So I still try to get up every day at like 6:30, and even though no one's watching me get up and start working, I try to start working or be online by 7, just trying to keep my day as like what I would do if I was going to an office, although it's much easier because I don't have to do my hair or makeup.
Yeah, take away that added element.
Right.
So what do you do to manage stress when you have those moments?
I do 2 things. I work out a lot. Try to work out 3 or 4 times during the work week, and then on the weekends, obviously. That really helps me. I can't focus if I haven't worked out. The other thing I do is I try, like I said, I try to keep my schedule kind of the same day to day. So I try to wake, like I said, I try to keep, I feel like I'm best in the morning, and when I get up and I do what my routine in the morning, it really like is helpful for the rest of the day. So that's kind of that's how I manage stress, is by getting up early. It's weird. It's kind of counterintuitive maybe sometimes, but
I think we all have to do what's right for us, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Yep, true. So that's what I do.
So do you use these things also to help you maintain a work-life balance, or what would you say is some advice from your perspective, how you maintain your work-life balance?
Well, I have to give some credit to my firm for this. They prioritize work-life balance for their attorneys, and so there's not an extreme amount of pressure to be like billing constantly at my firm, which is good. Personally, I'm trying to always be that attorney that's available because I am so new and I'm not right next door to someone. So I don't want people to think that out of sight, out of mind. I think it's a little bit different because I'm remote than how I would normally operate at an office. But I just try to keep like I said, my hours are mostly the same. When stuff comes up, I'm happy to help. The patent world is not like litigation, where things come up kind of randomly. That doesn't happen very often. We have very prescribed deadlines most of the time. So there isn't really that many situations where you're going to be like so crazy busy suddenly. Like that doesn't really happen that often in my line of work. So it's not a huge issue I'm dealing with currently. But we don't have kids yet. Like I don't know what that will look like down the line. That might be something I'll have to like kind of address in an ongoing basis, I feel like. I think that's coming. So,
Yeah, you'll deal with it when it comes.
yeah.
What is one of the things that you think really makes your firm stand out, and how they prioritize your work-life balance? Like, what do they do to help you have that balance?
Well, first of all, my firm is really flexible. Obviously, they're letting me work almost exclusively remotely. That's helpful. They also are more flexible with different tracks. So there's a lot of different tracks that you can take within my firm that aren't necessarily the like cookie cutter associate partner, equity partner track. And they kind of, what I've heard at least over the years, is they are willing to work with people to kind of accommodate these different life goals for different people. That one size fits all model doesn't really work anymore in the millennial age, and people are looking for different things out of their careers and out of their personal lives. And I think that they've really done a good job of meeting the challenge and adapting with the times. So I think that they're really kind of forward thinking in that way.
So do you feel, because of this mentality, that your firm's been able to adjust really well to the present circumstances with the
Yep.
coronavirus?
They have been great, very robust in their dealing with it. A lot of our attorneys already work at least a little bit remotely. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like regular, but a lot of people have the capability already set up at home, because maybe they work on Saturdays because they have to leave early during the week or whatever. So that was pretty easy. I think the transition for attorneys was really easy, but they also had all of our secretaries and paralegals like completely set up within the first few days to help too. So they really transitioned pretty well to this. And then we just have a lot of depth at our firm in terms of, well, breadth and depth. And so they've been really robust in how they've been dealing with like advising clients and trying to get people through this too, from like a legal perspective and all the legal issues that are coming out of it. Like, it's been pretty impressive to watch, because emails are constantly flying, so I can see what's happening. So, and they've been really transparent. That's the other thing. They've been really good about like explaining what's happening and keeping us up to date, because it's hard when you don't see people now every day, which I didn't before, but a lot of people are used to getting their information day to day from human interaction. And so they've been really good at keeping us updated throughout the week about like what's happening, and some cool stuff here and there that they're just circulating among the offices and people. I've been pretty impressed.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, if you would reflect on your career, including, your previous patent work as an engineer to now, if there was anything that you would have told yourself when you were starting on as advice, what would you have told yourself?
I think I don't have a lot, honestly. I think a lot of stuff just comes with age and experience, and I don't think that explaining it to myself in the past would have made that much difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the one thing I might say is just like focus on the details from the beginning, and taking ownership from the beginning, because when you're in an engineer capacity, you're really more of like a supervised person, whereas as an attorney, you're not, I mean, you can call the shots. And I think that in some ways, I wish I had focused on that type of ownership sooner when I was an engineer, if that makes sense, just so I could it would have evolved faster. And I wish I would have gone to law school maybe a year sooner.
But it is what it is now. I think that those insights are so invaluable to somebody who may be in a same or similar position as you. So like, the insights that you give through your learning experience are just beyond helpful.
Yeah.
However someone takes it.
Right. So that's it really. I mean, I think the legal world it's always evolving, and there's so much to learn all the time that it's kind of hard to always understand it when you're going through it. And then you look back and you're like, oh wow, duh. That's something that I probably should have focused on back then, but I didn't know, and now I can focus on it in the future. So,
do you have any wishes for the future of the legal world?
I kind of hope that they maybe go a little bit more, and I think some schools are doing it now, where they kind of give you more practical work experience going in, because I think that one of the things that law school doesn't help you with is understanding how life will look when you get out. I mean, they just teach you all this knowledge and you have it, but you don't know how it's applied or when it's used or anything like that. And I think that that's really helpful. And I think if people were more prepared and they were going through school maybe a little bit more ready for like what's coming, law school would probably be more helpful. If that makes sense. Like nothing I learned in law school has changed what I do in my job at all. So, I mean, I'm kind of on my own in that because patents are so different than everything else. But I think that I would rather have had some more experiential stuff than what they give you.
Yeah,
or require.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I mean, you had the amazing balance of already working for your firm, so you were able to have the duality of the two. But I think in law school, generally, it's up to you to take the initiative to get a job. Yeah. And when you do work when you're in law school, that makes you a value not only to your future employers, but it also prepares you for what you're going to experience in the outside world. And all too often, you're just so focused on your studies because grades are so important that some of that stuff does fall by the wayside.
Right. Yeah. So I think that would just be helpful. I mean, I think the knowledge is really helpful and learning how to think. They basically teach you that in the first year. So it's like, I don't know. I just think that there needs to be a greater focus on that type of experience than just having your nose in a book the whole time.
For sure. I completely agree. As we close this out, do you have any last tidbits of advice that you would give your peers or that you want to share?
I think that if I were speaking to someone who has not gone to law school yet but is considering it, I would try and get some internship experience somewhere first to make sure you think it's a commitment you would want to make. I think that a lot of people go into it thinking that they'll figure it out in 3 years, and I don't know that that's the best way to go about it. So that's what I tell people who are considering law school. And I don't have that much advice yet for being an attorney because I'm still kind of in the new stages. But some advice I've gotten from my mentor at work is just to, like, if you're in a firm, internally networking is as important in your first couple of years as externally networking. That's what I keep hearing, and so that's what I'm working on.
Do you think that it's important to have a mentor? Because that's something that I definitely see value in, because you kind of like leapfrog through things by having someone to speak with and not just having one mentor, that, you know, you have different people who serve different purposes.
Yeah, I think that I personally try to use, and I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it, but I try to use everyone I work for as a mentor. So I try to take little pieces of everything that they teach me and kind of mold my own practice based on that. And part of that is that I've known some of them for a really long time, and the other part is that I just like some things some people do better than others. But I do have a true mentor at work, and I do think it's helpful, and he seems to trying to get me involved in some things I don't know that I would get otherwise. And it's a little slower right now because of all the coronavirus stuff. But I think that that's going to be a good connection in the future.
Great. Katie, I so appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today about your insights and your experiences.
Of course. Yeah. Happy to help. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. So what did you think? Did you like it? If so, please give it a like so I know to keep making these for you. And also follow me so you can see every episode of The Inspired Attorney as it is released to you, so you can continue gaining and integrating the valuable insights our peers give into your life and practice. As always, I'm here for you if you need me. I've currently made 2 complimentary offers available to you. I host a small firm virtual roundtable on a weekly basis for an intimate group of practitioners. And I've also made a 30-minute strategy session with me available to you as well. I've provided a link to book these calls with me in the information about this Zoomcast below. I'll see you guys at the next one.